So the fourth immediate outcome that we've begun to see is definitely an increase in trust from people within town about the fact that this program has a lot to offer them, that the resources that are embedded as a function of the program are there to serve them, and we're starting to see participation numbers increase. And so the intermediate outcomes, where are we now as we're starting to flow through the program? We launched on January the 22nd. So we've been in active business in the community for a little less than 2 months, or I guess it's 2 months now. And if you recall from the earlier slides, University Park only has 923 homes. 190 of them attended the launch event for the program, and subsequently we've had dozens more sign up to participate or to inquire for information. So that's more than 20% of the town coming out to a launch event. At that launch, we had a little over 100 sign up to participate in the program for the Home Performance with Energy Star audit. That's more than 10% of the town. Again, since then, we've had many more sign up. And in the 2 months since the launch, we've had 62 homes in town participate in an audit, or they shortly will. They're booked for the next couple of weeks. And so we now have, because of the success of this launch, a critical mass of these kind of neighbor ambassadors starting to emerge. And the next phase of the program is really to work with them to share with their neighbors and those around them through those social marketing channels their experience on the program.
Good. I'd like to point out that the quickness with which, or the speed with which we reach the 10% is quite remarkable, because most people who studied this from a social marketing point of view consider 5% as early adopters, and here we're having 10% as being early adopters, which is way over the norm. And we think that's a very important sign that we're moving forward in the way we want to.
So moving on from the logic model, we have a couple slides left, and I think it's an excellent opportunity to hear from the mayor about, as a town that's thinking about undertaking some of these, or for people that are on the audience today who will be going out to work in municipalities or elsewhere, what are some of the particular challenges they need to be aware of from a town's governance perspective?
Well, the first thing is you have to convince the council to go ahead with this, and convince the community, and there's a real requirement for a trust in the proposal team. One of the ways that that trust developed was the fact that there was a council member who was part of the proposal team, and I sat in on it also as the mayor. And it gave us, both the council member and I, a chance to meet the people that were doing this and assess them from our own perspective. And most of us, as I said, know our community very well in small towns. That's how we get elected and how we stay there. The other issue, which is very important, is the management of the politics on the town council. It's worth noting that the original effort was actually rejected. It was originally decided by the council that they did not want to go forward, and some of the reasons for that were that they were really concerned about management issues and the burden on the town budget and the town staff. Remember, we have such a small staff, and most of that is day-by-day working staff. 19 of the individuals are out there doing daily work for Public Works, and that's 80% of our staff. So we don't have much room to maneuver when it comes to management. So you have to really look at the town council itself, and you have to talk to it, and you provide them with the information that's necessary to move them forward. We were able to do that, and we did receive a unanimous vote at the end. Timeline, big decision for a small town, short timeline when you're going for a federal grant. This one was 45 days, if I remember correctly, or maybe a little bit more.
No, I think it was less, actually. Yeah, no, it was 45 days.
45 days. So you're now compressing a great deal into a very short period of time. As I said, town council members are volunteers, and they don't they work during the day, so it's very hard for them to focus. So managing that timeline is a critical issue. Then on the next slide, there are real governance challenges. The proposal in itself is a governance challenge because it's costly. In our case, we were able to get a lot of people to work for free, but it certainly drew my time. It certainly drew one of our council members' time away from other things. And I'm, like all small town mayors, I'm a town manager also, or partially a town manager. There's, as I had noted before, council management. There's risk and liability issues for the town. They need to be addressed. They need to be addressed quickly because of the time that you have available to you. Implementation, there's an issue of monitoring progress and communications with the town staff and the council, and it's a continuing process. We've adopted the practice of meeting about this project every 2 weeks in town hall. That is the staff that are associated with it, and we can pull in our own staff if we have to and talk to them. We're all close to each other, and also the council. And we've adopted a policy that the project reports to the council once a month at a regular council meeting. Allows the public to visit the issues and allows the council to make sure things are not going sour. Project burden, we're learning a lot about that. It seemed to be a bit of more of a burden, I think, in the initial stages than we anticipated, but we're getting it to where we want it. The project burdens include infrastructure considerations, i.e. office space. As it turns out, we had space in the mayor's office for our energy coach, and so we did a little bit of rearranging of furniture. Time, we're trying to keep track of all the time that we spend on it, there are additional burdens on other municipal staff other than myself and our treasurer, who are the main individuals that have responsibility. But we're finding that that's going away now, and that's less of a problem. The issue for me as the mayor and for our town treasurer is that we do have to continue to monitor because we have both legal responsibility and we have financial responsibility.
So that wraps up the presentation, and we're obviously going to move to questions. But just sort of summing up where we're at, you know, people in University Park are excited about this as a community project, and we feel that it's off to a solid start. You know, for the reasons that Mayor Tabori mentioned, this is not the type of thing that should be entered into lightly by a town of any size, but particularly one that is facing those constraints that we identified earlier. We do believe at this point this has the potential to be an attractive and replicable model, but really it all comes down to item 4. Now that we've set up that model using the logic train that we've discussed, can we hit the target numbers? And we have the next couple of years to try and do so. We feel encouraged by the launch, but the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, as they say. So, so that's the University Park Step Up project. And Stuart, I guess we turn it back to you for questions.
Great. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. A quick question regarding the the outreach. You all have gotten 10% of the town, over 10%, to sign up for the home performance energy audit through Energy Star. What are your targets for converting those sign-ups into actual retrofits? And can you talk a bit about the amount of time you're estimating the energy coach will need to sort of schedule in order to convert each one of those leads into a completed audit?
It's an excellent question, and the answer is we're not sure. For two reasons. We had wanted to do baseline information gathering within the community before the launch of the program to really understand what the potential for targets were, people's motivation to actually get work done, how much they might be willing to spend, those sorts of baseline issues. And just because of the haste with which we needed to go to launch and also the personnel constraints both on the project and within the town, we're playing catch-up with some of that evaluation information. And so I think, Stuart, if we had the data beforehand, we would be able to give a more educated response in terms of the percentage that we're hoping to convert from audit to retrofit. Anecdotally, we have 15 people of the 62 that are either already, so of the 62 people that have had a home performance with Energy Star audit in the last 2 months, 15 of them, so roughly a quarter, are either engaged in retrofits right now or are under or negotiating a contract to do so. That is an astonishingly high conversion rate for a program so young. That said, also anecdotally, we heard at a committee meeting just this week from Suzanne, the energy coach, that the amount of time that she is spending helping homeowners interpret their Energy Star reports and helping them make the selection that they need to make for the contractors is an inordinate amount of time, hours per client. And so we're tracking all that information, and we're going to be able to tune up the model once we really understand sort of the costs and time involved in each one of those variables. But anecdotally, the conversion rate is high. I would say if we talked in 6 months, we'd be able to predict a lot more what it's going to be and the time involved in making each one of those conversions happen.
I might point out that at least in my case and in my neighbor's case, my neighbors had the audit. I haven't had the audit yet, but we probably will do something, even though we're not ready to make that decision yet on the retrofit. So I suspect that the conversion rate will actually go up as time goes on, and as more of the elements of the program become clear and we can get information to people.
Also, I think, Stuart, as an adjunct part of that answer, as the program, as more and more people in the community actually start to do work in their homes, we want to recognize them with the yard signs, I've stepped up or something like that, some recognition in the newsletter and elsewhere in town, and that's when the social marketing and outreach channels really begin to kick in, because people, sometimes it's a keeping up with the Joneses issue. They want to do it because their neighbors are doing it. I think in many cases in University Park, it's people feel a great deal of civic ownership of this program and they want to see it be successful. And so in some respects, they want to feel like they're doing their part. Thirdly, who better than your neighbor to let you know about the comfort and bill savings that are resulting from this? And so I think that's going to be a motivating factor down the road to convert from audit to retrofit as well.